he was talking about the resurgence of feminine spirituality, and he listed a whole bunch of things like tarot and other ancient systems, but they have no clue really
Yeah.
what it's going to look like, because they think it's going to replace the patriarchy, but if it does, it's just another form of patriarchy.
Yeah, or it becomes so weak that it'll just get destroyed by whoever comes along next.
Yeah,
If it doesn't form another patriarchy.
right. So the only solution that I see oh, and he also was another one of his buzzwords was hierarchy, and how
Mm-hmm.
women don't I forget how he put it, but that hierarchy was antithetical to feminine spirituality. And I just don't agree. I mean, hierarchy is fundamental to reality. So how could it be contrary to feminine spirituality?
Yeah, I think it's like an unspoken hierarchy. Like I think they haven't figured it out because I've experienced it and it's a disaster. Because whoever is doing well and leading, everybody tears them down, and then somebody else gets built up, and everybody's following that person, that woman, they get too high and then they tear them down, and
Uh-huh.
just, oh,
And that's what you saw when you were involved
yeah.
in
Hmm.
feminist activism.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So structure, they seem to think that feminine spirituality will be the opposite of structure. And how could that work? It
Yeah.
wouldn't.
Yeah, and not all the feminists see it that way. There are some sane feminists who realize that you need structure,
Yeah.
but they're not the ones that you hear about in the news.
Yeah, exactly. They're not
Mm-mm.
sensational enough.
Mm-mm.
Yeah. Well, it seems to me like where it needs to go is toward partnership,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
right relationship between men and women.
Mm-hmm.
It's got to go there. Otherwise, it's going, like you say, it's going to fall apart on its own, implode, or it's going to be usurped again by the first organized group that comes along.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I think there's a lot of room to a lot of area to explore and to start laying out.
Yeah, will you mention his name just for the recording's sake if we're listening to it and wonder who you're talking about?
Yeah, it's I think it's Noah Yuval Harari. I might have the first two names mixed up, but he's an Israeli, and he's popular amongst the secular crowd. His last name is Harari. This I can really see just how hard that must be.
Mm-hmm.
That people have in their minds that, I own you, and
Mm-hmm.
and it's usually one over the other.
Yeah.
It's never like this, it's always this or this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's well, that's part of conscious partnership then, or
Mm-hmm.
conscious marriage, is to learn how to deal with that. And that can't be easy. I mean, that's got to have a
No,
real
especially if you've
set
already
of
got
challenges.
a certain habit, and especially with kids
Right.
and even family members.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Uh, yeah, especially with kids, because then it raises the stakes
Mm-hmm.
on loyalty and reliability and spiritual compatibility, all of that.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, it doesn't help if both have strong spiritual leanings
Mm-hmm.
that are at odds. That's
But you
almost as
think,
bad as
I don't know,
political.
if you're talking, you'd think you could just make space for each other and say, okay, you have these commitments, and I'll take care of the kids when you're doing your thing, you
Right.
know, and
Yeah.
then it goes both ways.
Yeah. To maybe remove the existential threat
Hmm.
aspect of it, existential to the marriage.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's yet another thing we could address in the sacred feminine,
Yeah.
because especially if we go with the partnership aspect, that has to be a necessary part of it, where um, the mutual respect, mutual um, empowerment. You know, I honor what you're doing, you honor what I'm doing, and we don't unnecessarily bump heads on it.
Right.
Right? Kind of a don't ask, don't tell.
Yeah, right.
Oh, that's funny.
But it makes sense because if one person or even both are exploring something new, you really can't be interrupted. You can't tell everything or else it ruins it. It'll
Right.
just ruin it until it's fully developed and then you can share it. But
Yeah, so an understanding of privacy would be essential.
mhm,
And that raises the level of trust even, it's a higher bar for
mhm,
trust. Well, the issue of trust between two in a marriage would have to be counter. It'd have to be met on the side of the teachers
mhm.
to really hold the marriage of the student sacrosanct
Yeah,
and not violate that, or especially to counsel uh, the student to get a divorce.
yeah.
And that other group that I was involved in, the Order of Christ Sophia, they did that. They would
And
actually
I can see
counsel.
why is the thing.
Yeah, if you
I'm
if
not
you're
saying
going,
it's right, but
yeah,
I can see
exactly,
why.
exactly. But it's not healthy, and it doesn't, and it blew up in the face of the OCS
Hmm.
because that was one of the main points of criticism. So I think that's more from the old age, from the Piscean age, where you wait out in snow, hoping that the guru will accept you, will open the gates, and finally, to really prove your sincerity, you cut off your own arm just to show how sincere you are. I think all that's got
Yeah,
to go. That's
yeah.
you know, but that's still kind of used as an ideal, or not an ideal, but like a shibboleth or a standard
Hmm.
to measure your worth. And if we're going to bring heaven and earth together, marriage is a part of the earth life.
Hmm.
And so you can't just superimpose heaven onto earth and obliterate all of earth's traditions or standards and expect it to work. It's not going to work. So those standards in earth have to be elevated to where they can include the spiritual life, and the spiritual life has to honor the commitments and the responsibilities and the obligations that people have to their life. You can't just toss that out. So in essence, I think it's more of a householder path. It's not a
What's
monastic.
that?
Well, the householder path in Hinduism is you're not a monk in a monastery.
Right.
You're not celibate. You're
Right.
you're married, you have children, you have a business, you do all of the things in the earth. And some people would say the householder path is the most difficult path. And
Yeah.
in some ways it is, but then others will say, well, the monastic path is really the most
It's
stringent
just in different ways, right?
in different ways. Yeah. But I think maybe that's where we're moving, unless a new monasticism arises, maybe that might be part of the feminine, but
Hmm.
somehow I don't think so. I think that because the feminine has to include childbirth
Yeah.
and
Hmm.
child rearing
Hmm.
and marriage and sexuality
Hmm.
and and hell, even cooking,
Yeah. Everything.
because
Yeah.
who doesn't love to cook, right? and
Hmm.
and the home, the home has to be reestablished as the domain, not the
Hmm.
domain, that sounds constraining, but the queendom,
Yeah.
isn't it in Judaism where the woman runs the house, the man
Hmm.
has
Yeah.
the final say, but because he's the interface between the home and the outer world. So he
Mm-hmm.
has to have he has to have the final say.
Yeah, but
So
not on everything. Only on
right,
what has to do with the outer world.
right, yeah, especially with infants and young children and the harmony and the vibration, the spiritual vibration of the house.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Subramanya was really adamant about that. He's a very traditional Orthodox Hindu, and he said that in order for the home to work, the man must not bring business into the home,
Mm-hmm.
must not discuss any of that in the home.
Mm-hmm.
In the home, he's supposed to hold a high spiritual vibration. So the upward
Mm-hmm.
orientation, he has
That
to
makes
hold that.
sense.
And if he does, everybody's happy.
Mm-hmm.
But the second he brings in the problems of the world out there,
Yeah.
then it all goes to hell.
Yeah. And I can see how that happens. It starts innocently, but next thing, you have your grumpy mood because of work
Right.
and then the kids get hurt because of it and you know.
Yeah. In the early days of our business, we made all the mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
We were business partners, and at one point we even had our office in our bedroom. Talk about a
Free
buzzkill.
to laugh. Oh.
I know it's so sad and tragic. It's funny. We even involved our kids. They were even working in the shop too. So we were all sitting around the dinner table discussing business. It was
Mm-hmm.
just a killer. You know, it just killed our home life and eventually our marriage.
Yeah.
So there's something really important and viable and sustainable to the traditional model.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but there's going to be a lot of pushback on that because it flies in the face of the empowered woman who can do anything a man can do.
Mm-hmm.
And
But if she
uh,
goes out and does all those things, who takes care of the kids?
right,
Some
right,
stranger.
exactly. And which has a lot to do with the declining birth rates and the death of a civilization or a culture
Mm-hmm.
as a result of no replacement.
Mm-hmm.
So it's quite serious, but still a lot of people are going to just kick like the Dickens because it flies in the face of this feminist ideal of the empowered woman who can wield power in the world,
Mm-hmm.
out there in the world. And that just wears women down and it makes them unhappy and it robs them of the best time of their life where they can have children and all of the love and the fulfillment that comes from that. It's really tragic.
The thing is, there can be different, like there could be out in the world and there could be the community, like maybe, you're involved more in the community, but not out there in the world, if
Yes,
that
yes,
makes sense.
yes, we've talked about that, the
Yeah,
village
so it's not like
aspect.
you're just stuck in your home as a woman taking care of your kids. You're doing this, but then you're working with other women who are doing the same thing. And there's a
Right.
whole structure, so you are out in the world, but it's still concerning just the group.
Yeah, it's kind of like the village model where the homes, the home life extends out to the village.
Yeah, because then, there could be a coordinated care of children so women could go learn and
Yeah,
contribute into society in other ways because they're collectively taking care of the
yeah,
kids.
yeah, because there's no reason at all to constrain all women to the homemaking model because not all women are going to have children,
No.
and many women who have very very powerful minds are going to want to use those in the world, but that doesn't negate. Like I met a woman at on the Stanford campus one time. She was one of the top professors in what was it? Physics, traditionally all male, but she was one of their top professors in the physics department, and she was specializing in environmentalism. So she was using the knowledge of physics in the environmentalist movement. which shows the care and the nurturing and the concern for the good of everyone. So,
But see, I see no reason why a woman can't have children and participate in that kind of community.
yeah, absolutely. Right.
Like, what's wrong with both?
Yeah. And the only thing that's missing is the understanding and the respect for differences in temperament and overall spiritual orientation, because they're vastly different. The masculine and the feminine are vastly different in that way. This is going to get just a lot of pushback. But I think we just have to keep talking about it and explore it, because what does a powerful woman look like? That's the question.
Like a regular woman.
Like a regular woman, right? But how does she look like in the home, and what does she look like in the world? You know, how does a top tier scientist who's also a woman, how does she show up in that domain? And what, because if she shows up as a man, then what's lost? You know, the feminine perspective, the feminine sensibilities, the feminine inclusion of the well-being of everyone, of the community or the world community. I mean, we've seen what happens when that's missing. The world just goes to shit, you know? So regardless of the pushback, I think we need to just keep talking about this. It's so shamanistic, you know, and especially when you bring the herbs and the animals and what's always fascinated me is the geomantic properties of the earth.
Yeah.
That is way cool. I mean, that's like a whole nother world. And every once in a while, I'll hear something about the pyramids, you know, and they'll touch on that. And it's like, oh my God, we know nothing.
Yeah.
We know nothing.
Right.
The only way you could really know is if you could see these lines of force and the geometric relationships they make.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you never know, maybe you can, if you know how to look.
Well, you know, that's the principle of the logos. One of the aspects of the concept logos is that the universe is intelligible.
Yeah.
So I take that to mean there are no limits. You know, it's how we develop the senses that we have to see on the multi-dimensional spectrum, which is all the same. It's all one thing, but it's the same thing on different levels. So, and according to the logos principle, we can, you know, and we know we can because we develop our senses in little ways, and we can see more and see, you know, people who've died, gone through transition. We can see them. Not everyone, but a lot of people can. And we can see nature spirits. You know, again, not everyone, but some people can. So who knows? Who knows what the possibilities are, you know?
See, and that's how the other group we talked about is really appealing to practice, you know, to put things to practice, not just study.
Yes, right. Knights of the Spirit, the name of our podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so we're going to have to talk more about that too. Where the rubber meets the road. That'd be a good subtitle.